Now, our pick'ems are already ruined because if you guys hadn't seen the news, Falcons, the team that I and pretty much every other person has picked to go 3-0, are actually already 0-2. And not only that, but they actually lost to the team that I and pretty much everyone else picked to go 0-3. And it was actually a disaster. And this wasn't really an instance of Falcons playing good and getting outplayed. This was an example of Falcons losing to themselves. So I want to take a look at this game versus Lynn Vision on Nuke and kind of discuss where they went wrong and how Lynn Vision was able to get the better of them in this best of one. And we'll get to that right after a quick word from Skins Monkey.
Now, if you're not familiar with Skins Monkey, this is a trade site that allows you to take some of the old and crusty skins out of your inventory, and you can actually trade them in for something a little bit new, a little bit shinier than what you have right now. And it's really easy to do this, actually. All you need to do is log in through Steam, pick the skins that you don't want to use anymore, grab the ones that you do, and then click trade. All trades will pretty much happen immediately, and any balance that you don't use in your trade actually stays on the site for you to use for any future trades that you decide to do. And right now, if you use the link in the description, you can actually get a 35% deposit bonus, and that's good for up to $100. So let's say you deposit $100, you would actually get $135 on the site if you use my link. So make sure you check out Skins Monkey, and let's hop right back into the video.
So welcome to the disaster that is Falcons versus Lynn Vision. Now, we're going to start with this pistol because, like I said in the simple video before this one, if you haven't seen that one for some reason, though, it will be linked in the top right of your screen. But in these best of ones, pistol rounds sort of decide a lot of the early momentum. Now, I don't typically care about pistol round strats in particular, but in this one, Lynn Vision are going to be getting in Falcons' face. They don't want them to be too comfortable, and they're just going to be flooding in towards heaven. Now, I won't spoil this part, but I guess you already can expect that Lynn Vision are going to win the pistol. Now, the hardest part for an underdog team in these matchups is actually getting the 3-0 conversion. Now, this map is, of course, a CT-sided map, so every T round that you can get is going to be worth its weight in gold, literally. So they're going to actually come out of the gate here playing against this 4-spy, and they're going for the immediate A-pop. Now, this is going to completely catch Kixon off guard. Of course, the utility is all very standard. They have the flashes that are popping behind the silo as to not blind people scaling with them, and they've also thrown this brand new smoke. This smoke is, of course, making a tunnel into the site. I'm not going to share any lineups. If you guys want to look at the lineups, you obviously can download the demo and go find them for yourself. I'm just here to break it down. So what they've done is they've created a tunnel to come out of Squeaky. Mini is smoked, the front of Tetris is smoked, and with all these flashes that are coming in, it provides a perfect route into the back of the site. This is something that I'm pretty sure Falcons have never seen before because I haven't seen it, and I've watched a lot of Pro CS. This is very strong, and they're actually going to use Starry entering into the site here to completely crack open the site. And despite Magic's best efforts, he's also going to go down. Now, these conversion rounds are, again, so hard to do when you're the underdog team because you're playing against Nico and Monacy. You're expecting to just get one digged or scouted, but they make easy work of this round, and then they get the luxury of a tech pause followed up by a full eco against the Falcons, which means that they actually get to start up 3-0, which is actually worth a lot because we're gonna talk about it, but they actually don't look that good for this T side. They win 2 more gun rounds, which I'll cover, but then I'll explain why this is such an important 3-0 start. Now, everything is business as usual for the Falcons. This is not the first time that they've played an underdog team, and it's not the first time that they've started down 3-0. I mean, truthfully, it's actually pretty common, especially in a standard map of CS. This could just happen if you lose the pistol. They, of course, respond with 4 rounds. It's exactly what we expect, but this is actually the round where things start to go wrong. We have Lynn Vision starting with some ramp aggression, and Testis is going to respond in the best possible way. He's going to drop in towards lower and just play his life, because, of course, ramp is not a bomb site. You hear that a lot from the casters and from people who might be backseating you in your pugs, but it's actually true. It's not a bomb site. You don't have to die there as long as you communicate to your teammate, in this case Monacy, that they can wrap heaven, which is exactly what they've done. Now, this is the part, though, where I'm a little bit concerned for the Falcons, because, of course, Nico knows that they've lost ramp, and it's very likely going to be a lower finish, so he's going to take the liberty to clear outside, and they're pretty confident that it is going to, again, like I said, be that B finish. Testis has gotten into this really strong spot, and he has a rotate from Kixon, so we have 2 people in towards lower. The idea is if they come into the site, well, it should be really easy. The problem that I have here, though, is that, like I said, Nico just got the info that nobody was outside, so instead of reinforcing the A site or well, reinforcing the A site, he's actually going to come back with Monacy, and they're going to try to go for this late ramp clear. But my main issue here isn't that I think it's a bad call, but it's also that they have to be there. So when they walk right into this and get traded out, I'm a little bit concerned because the rotates are far away because they have to come from ramp. And this is where the communication starts to get a little shaky. So, of course, Monacy has the op and Nico has the rifle. We can't have Monacy go first because it would be awkward. But where's Magisk in all of this? I'm asking you genuinely because he's sitting on A site still. The bomb has been down for a while, and he thinks, well, I can't go first either. They never had info on secret. Even though Nico did know that there was nobody outside, there was a set of smokes at the beginning of the round, so technically somebody could be secret, and Magisk is paranoid for that lurk. So he doesn't want to go first either, because in his mind, he's thinking, well, if I go down the vent, somebody's holding for me here and I'll die. So I have to wait for them to make a distraction for me. It's standard retake theory, but they're not on the same page because Monacy is going to peek into the back of the site and he is just patiently waiting. And the only person that can really initiate the retake here is Nico. So he is going to have to take these fights all alone because Magisk is waiting for him to make contact, but Monacy can't go out. And then he's actually going to throw this flash that blinds both of them. Maybe a little nerves. Nico's going to walk out, but look, in all of this, guess what? Magisk is still not down the vent. He drops, and then they realize that he's still fighting a ghost in Mini. Like, he came, dropped the vent, checked for the lurk. No lurk. Okay, now there's 20 seconds on the bomb. Monacy dies. Nico is all alone on the site. Magisk is literally still on A, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to save. He's saving. He's actively walking away, and Nico is still on the site fighting. I think this is the round that things started to go wrong in, but this is a huge misplay from Falcons, and my point is that Lynn Vision didn't really do anything here, and they got around. That's the first gun round that they're going to get, and it's actually not the only, it's the one of two gun rounds that they're going to get, and the other one is due to another big Falcons misplay. And in this round, it's actually going to be an eco. They just have pistols, and they're running at Tessus. Again, Tessus has a good fundamentals. He's going to rotate down. He just plays his life. He gets 2. It's a full eco. They don't have to stress too much. Zacher is going to get caught right here in secret, and it's a 2v4, and all they have is this Westmelon M4 he picked up from Tessus, as well as Amelia's Tech 9. Now, obviously, they want to fight together, but it doesn't really matter. They're happy with the bomb plant. They should never be walking away with this round, but of course, Falcons find a way to lose this. So what they're doing is they're all going to be coming from single. And realistically, you could accidentally win this clutch as long as you took your time and don't go through that smoke that was over here on double, which is not what they're going to do. Instead, they're actually all going to come out single. The one choke point on the entire map where you could get lined up and colladed, and the only thing that needs to happen is Kixon just needs to make sure nobody is holding the, oh my god, he's on the god spot, and he can see that he's on the god spot. If you don't understand why this is a god spot, well, it's because he can see their toes and they really can't shoot back. But they're all 3 coming out the single door, and Kixon quite literally just saw him on top. They come out, Nico, none the wiser, lack of communication. He switches to the Tech 9 because he's out of ammo. In the meantime, Amelia is hiding in that smoke. Again, even now, this should not be winnable. It just shouldn't be. They should literally never be losing this. Westmelon's going to reposition. Again, he's just trying to play time and play his life. He thinks he's dead, but he gets the kill on the Monacy. He's found a 4K in all of this, and by the time he does actually go down, the round is actually unwinnable for Magisk, who again is taking his sweet time. Now, I gotta respect the the experience that he has to not go first, take his time, make sure he's very methodical, but this is another round that Magisk is, why didn't he just stay double to make sure that he had that trick? I'm nitpicking a little bit, but another huge misplay from Falcons, and this is what I mean. That's the last round that Lynn Vision get. So they had the 3-0 pistol win, which I still say pistols are kind of random, even though my comments typically don't like that. I still think they're random. Then they get 1 Falcons misplay for a gun round and another for a half buy. That gives them 5 rounds. That's welcome to CS2. I mean, like, that's gives you 5 rounds. So when they go on to win this second pistol, it should realistically come as no surprise that once Falcons decide to full eco, they're completely tied. And yeah, I skipped through it, and this one's not going to be as edited. But my point is, look, it's 7-7. The game is tied, and we have 2 pistol victories for Lynn Vision and 2 misplays. That's it. The gun rounds here, this 4 streak, Falcons domination. This round, domination. Last 2 rounds of the half, domination. But it's 7-7 because they had 2 really bad misplays as well as lost both pistols. Now, After the full eco, we know that Falcons didn't get a bomb plan, which means that if they decide to buy, they have about 4,400, and barring the kills, of course, they could have a little bit more or a little bit less. It's standard economy. We know that we had a bunch of MP9s, and they're going to have armor AK with light nades or some Galils, which is exactly what they have. Now, I'd like to reference this article that got posted here by the official Blast account, where Sue said, our coach did a lot of preparation, and 90% of it was correct. This is the importance of having an analyst as well as a coach going into these best of ones, because if you can do the bare minimum of prep on how Falcons likes to play, chances are they're not really prepping you as hard as you're prepping them. So if you have any idea how they like to approach these rounds, well, you can get a pretty big advantage. And this is one of those rounds I feel like there was some prep. So what we have here is, of course, the bonus round for Lynn Vision. They have the worst buy in every regard. They have 4 MP9s. They couldn't contest outside if they wanted to. They don't have the guns for that. So what they do is they decide to do this gamble ramp setup. And by the way, if you don't know what the term bonus buy means, it's just because they didn't upgrade their guns, and look at how much money they have. No matter what happens this round, they'll be able to buy next round and probably have an up and maybe even a better buy as long as they do damage to the economy. But they're going to do this ramp setup. Now, I was watching on my co-streams, twitch.tv/AustinCS_. If you like these breakdowns, you should come watch me watch these matches live. I do have permission to do that. We do analyze everything. A little shameless, but still. And I said that this setup is sickening. And the reason is because, like I said, they've done this outside stuff. They're trying to fake as if maybe they're doing something. But I know as well as you do that Nico likes to come out here solo. It's not really a surprise. It's not really a secret. He's been doing this for literally years. So they have a pretty confident read in this ramp play. And of course, like I said, they don't have any long range weapons. So they're completely fine with just saying, well, if they go lower, we'll just try to do some damage and we'll buy next round. It's actually a full gamble. Now, again, we know Nico likes to solo, and this is where I think the prep comes in, because they just say, well, you know what, if he goes, he goes. They have nobody down lower, and they commit to this ramp setup, and it works out beautifully. Now, check out how Amelia does this. So I've talked about this on my short form content. If you haven't seen, you should go check it out, but that's linked in the description. And there's a really cool shadow here. So Amelia's in the perfect spot here, because if Monacy starts walking out to clear the normal J-Hall angle, this one right here, he actually shows his shadow. And what you can do is, look at this. He sees the molly first, but when he sees Kixon's shadow right here, he knows that he could just peek in and catch Kixon off guard, which is exactly what he does. And he does it again with Monacy. And even though he goes down, it was all a bait for Zacher on top of the ramp. So they've just gotten the entire round 1 based off of a ramp setup, and they win the bonus round, and they're set up in such a way now their money is absolutely beautiful, and it comes off of the back of that preparation as well as the bonus buy. Now, you look at this from Falcons and you go, well, is this a misplay? Maybe not this round. This round they kind of got counted, but it's Falcons, right? Those 2 rounds that they lost on T side, or on the Lynn Vision T side, are costing them, because now they're losing in a best of 1, and this is where the pressure mounts. A couple of those rounds could be tilted. Maybe Nico is tilted at Monacy for team flashing him, or maybe he's tilted at Magis for not dropping the vent. There could be any amount of emotions happening in the team, but you can't tell that in a demo. Now, I would like to give credit to the call here, because it's a half buy, and you know that you're playing versus a team that's not very experienced. So what Kixon tries to do is he calls this really cool strat where he's going to actually send Magis down the vent here. They threw that lurk smoke. He's trying to go down. And the idea here is that they want to get him down the vent and then overwhelm ramp. Because in these teams that are a little bit less experienced, this fast B split could really put a hole in the comms. There could be a lot of miscommunications, a lot of panic, and these Tech 9s could take advantage of that. So that's what they're trying to do. However, Lynn Vision isn't as inexperienced as you had thought, because here's another round that could be an anti-strat. And I'm serious, because this vent lurk smoke gets immediately naded. They knew that this was a possibility. And remember what Sue said, 90% of the prep was correct. There's a pretty good chance that Falcons likes to run these on their half buys, and well, Magis gets caught because there's no smoke. He goes down. And now, when they recognize that that's happening, Amelia knows not to be afraid. He's spamming the ramp as if he knows. He hasn't seen anyone. As if he knows that this is exactly what's happening. He gets the first kill, and then he waits for his teammate to come. He's waiting, then he repeats to draw a little attention so that Zacher can get a kill. And you see, everything is going according to plan, and Falcons is not necessarily misplaying anything. This is the problem in the volatility with best of 1s, and also underestimating your opponents. Now, that is really no excuse, since Falcons is the second best team in the world. They should just be able to shake it off. And you would think that after that devastating first gun round that they would just lock in, which they do. They win their round. But here's the problem. Going into the follow-up round, we get a timeout. And I have a feeling that this is where the coach says, hey, guess what? They went ramp on their first gun round. They haven't really done anything outside yet. This is probably a round where they're going to put heavy numbers outside. So what happens? Well, in his prep, I assume that he told Sue that, hey, Magisk is typically that guy that's going to be chilling in towards lobby by himself. If you have a read, you can just go catch him off. Now, here's what happens. You hear Magisk spamming. He's lurking like Rops would. This is a standard 4-1. You see, the point is they have 4 people outside putting pressure, going to peek over the smokes, go down secret, take lower. They have the bomb. Standard nuke, right? Well, Magisk is putting the pressure, something like Rops would do. But Sue seems very confident that he is all alone. He walks in hut by himself. There's no setup. We just have Westmelon putting a little bit of pressure, smoking door. And why is he smoking door? It's standard, of course, but in this instance, he's trying to bait Magisk to look for the timing. Looks for the timing in towards hut. But he would never expect this. He looked at it, but he wasn't actually expecting it. And that's the first kill for Lynn Vision. It's a free opening in another important gun round. This is the power of anti-stratting, and you can actually see how weak a team like Falcons actually is to this when they're underestimating their opponents. If they put any amount of work into looking at Lynn Vision, and I'm sure that they glanced at it, but I mean, you heard Monasi's interview before this game. He said, we're not worried at all. Why? Why? You actually should be worried because you just lost a bait and you need to make sure that you're not giving any weaknesses over to a team who is hungry to prove you wrong. Remember, if you didn't see at the beginning of this game, they were literally typing. Amelia says, let's go, my king. Monasi, you're my king. You know, stuff like this. Like, you know that they know what you do. Like, you have to respect them. Like, at a certain point in the server, you have to just go, well, you know, they know what we're doing. And I think after Magisk dies here, it's still winnable. Like, you should still understand, like, okay, they've anti-stratted us. We get a Zonic timeout. He just needs to think, right? And then after that, you go, guys, they know what we did. They did a little anti. Let's play loose. We're the better team. We should just be able to call stuff on the fly that they can't counter, and we shoot harder than them, so we should win. But that doesn't happen. They audible in towards ramp. Zacher hits a nice shot, and here comes the domination. Starry knows that he could just peek here, so he does. He catches Monasi checking the flank, because remember, Sue had already pushed earlier in the round. He's worried that he could do it again. Monasi checks, he gets punished. And it's worse than that, because Kixon is all alone here, and he can't do anything. And Nigo is probably tilted out of his mind, because it's another round where he's last alive. He got down secret, but of course, Lynn Vision have completely isolated him, and that's another lost. Now, because Nico lost the time, he doesn't get any money, so Falcons decide to just go for the buy here. I mean, it still makes sense if you look at the rounds and how they've been won. So we have a set strat. This is a strat that, of course, we know we need to win this round, but I mean, again, Lynn Vision did a lot of homework, so they know exactly what's possible. Nico's going to throw this smoke, and we actually have an A-pop coming in. But look at what's happening. Sue is playing anti-flash, and he's in a very deliberate spot here. Look at where Westmelon is. He's trying to dodge any flashes coming in through the roof. Look at exactly how he's looking. You think, oh, he's looking at nothing? No, he's actually playing anti. They're expecting this. And look, Zacher, he sees nothing outside. If you've done any amount of anti-stratting, you're probably thinking, this could be that A-pop, and we know they're buying. Why aren't they throwing outside smokes, right? Well, there you go. Watch this. Here comes the A hit coming in. They're popping through the smoke. And look at how blind Sue isn't. He's completely dodged the flashes. This is a complete anti-strat. He knew that he could stand here. My point being, how is the number 2 team in the world getting dominated by Lynn Vision from a little bit of anti? How is Sue in a spot? He knows to be here, by the way. It's not an accident. That's the 4th round in a row that Lynn Vision are in the best possible spots. It's not an accident. It's full anti. But how is the number 2 team in the world letting this happen? You see, that's the part that I don't understand. And even in this round, this is a half buy. It's kind of a Hail Mary. They're going to go for something special. Look at what they've done. They've thrown a little bit of outside smokes. They're on the way. Hold on, let me fast forward. They throw some outside smokes, and they're going to go in towards lower, right? Super standard. It's just a half buy. The second set as well. Very, very telling of a commit towards lower. You wouldn't waste as much utility on a half buy unless you meant to do it, which kind of signals to the Lynn Vision guys to push lobby. I mean, they've already done it. Like, Sue did it solo already, and we know that they're probably in towards lower. So Magisk has already gotten exploited once, and well, here they come to do it again. Now, I will give him a little bit of credit because it is a half buy. It's not exactly easy, but look at this setup. They are extremely confident that they're all down lower. Starry's in a spot right here for double, and he also has a teammate who is already rotating down. They have 2 people in towards lower. They're not worried. Like, they are not worried at all about the possibility of a ramp hit late. I mean, I guess technically they are spotting it, but like, you get my point. They have the best possible setup. Here we go. Starry is just in a spot here. He's got a shadow advantage. If you didn't catch that, he saw Tess's shadow on the wall there. That's why he's playing it. And he swips around here, gets another kill, and it's a half buy, and I understand that, but they look like the better team. If I remove the name tags and said that this was Falcons versus Lynn Vision, you'd be, oh, well, I mean, that makes sense. They're dominating them. How is this happening? Now, of course, this 12-8 and Falcons, they absolutely need to win this round. So they're going to run the best strat that they have. And I really do mean that. They don't want to lose. It's the best of one. They run this really well drilled to execute. They've probably played it a million times and they have no issues. Now, my main thing here is for Lynn Vision. This is where you have a typical, very big dynamic switch, right? The momentum was with Lynn Vision before this round. And of course, the favorites just put you in their place with a clean round. Now, typically how the upsets don't happen is when you end up in a situation like this, the team locks in, the favorite team locks in, they have a dominant round, and then the underdog team gets a little nervous and whatever. But not Lynn Vision. And this is where I want to give them their flowers, because they weren't afraid. They were never afraid to play versus Falcons in any of the rounds here. Because like I said, some teams would get nervous and they would start to give them respect, which is what Falcons want, because then they would win. If they could do everything that they wanted to, then it would be over, right? They have a deeper playbook and better players. But they're not afraid. Lynn Vision are not afraid. Sue walks right into the same spot that he did earlier by himself again. Westmelon is just baiting. He's spamming the door and whatnot. And this time we have Zacher as well as Amelia pushing in towards ramp. And it's Magus. He's doing the same thing that he always does. We can even just look at this demo to see whenever they're doing 4 outside, Magisk is spamming the door. This is a tell. You are getting a little bit of insight here into what it looks like to anti-strat a tier 1 team. If Magisk is spamming the door like this and there's outside smokes and noise, he's probably alone. And that's how they can get this information. So you might think, well, how is it that obvious? Well, typically, of course, Falcons would do better stuff to mask this and whatever. But this is anti-stratting at a surface level. Magus is spamming here. He's by himself. That's why they're so confident to do this. Look at Sue is just like, yeah, this is what he was doing when I killed him before. Now they're walking in. Look at this. S score is good. Zacher just walks him in. And Amelia, as soon as he realizes that there's nobody in lobby, he doesn't even think twice. He goes up on the roof, and you have a round that looks like it's just in matchmaking, like Premier. He gets up on the roof here, and he sees 2 people who don't even think that it's possible for him to be here. And that's pretty much the final nail in the coffin. And that's how Falcons lost to Lynn Vision. It's kind of like a Mr. Beast video. A $10,000... It's almost like a Mr. Beast video. $10 million team versus a $10,000 team. Who would win? Well, it turns out that hard work sometimes beats the money, and I'm honestly not too unhappy to see this result. Falcons looked very weak in this game, and Lynn Vision obviously have a passion. I've been really enjoying watching the Asian teams play because they have such a unique brand of CS, and with a little bit of anti-stratting, they are very dangerous. A lot of them are very heavy aim-reliant play styles, but it's very exciting, and that's why we've seen some of the best plays from this event already are from these Asian region teams. Jam Young had that really sick ace. We also had a couple of highlights. I think Starry with that big spray on Dust too. They're very mechanically talented, and they're here to prove that they are not going to mess around. And by the way, while I'm doing this outro, have a look at this. This is Falcons. 16 rounds, or 16 seconds, I mean, left in the final round, and Tessus is sitting in CT spawn with the bomb, trying to flash Nico in. This round was never going to win. It's 14 seconds, and he's in their spawn with the bomb. Like, this was an absolute disaster from Falcons, and that was the review. That's how Lynn Vision beat the Falcons. And if you guys did enjoy this demo review, I'm trying to get these out at the end of the day. I've been awake for a very long time, so if this was a little bit more rambly, I'm sorry for that ahead of time. But if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate if you guys subscribe to the channel. Like I said in the previous video, the support for these demo reviews as well as the channel in general has been very, very overwhelming recently, so I'd just like to thank you. If you made it to the end, make sure you guys like the video, comment what you want to see next, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Much love as always, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.